It has been nearly 3 weeks since Arc Raiders launched on the 30th, and it just keeps defying the odds of what we see as normal for an experience after a game launches. That regardless if you love or hate the game, the genre of the game itself, whatever, it's commendable at the very least what's going into this and what has made the last 3 weeks or so of the game's reality pretty special. Today we're taking a top-level examination of Arc Raiders and some of the feats it's accomplished and some of the cool things still to come in the near future, so drop your thoughts as we go along, drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all things Arc Raiders and more FPS content. We still have quite a few things here I'm excited to share coming out soon with Arc Raiders in particular. I've been knee-deep in our all-quest guide video. That's probably pushing near an hour long when that one ends up coming out, among other things that I'm excited to get out as well, but we'd love to have you in the community as we chase down 700,000 subscribers together. For now though, let's get into it. So, it's been again nearly 3 weeks since the launch of Arc Raiders, right? Well, this past weekend, Arc Raiders did the improbable yet again, hitting another milestone highest peak for the game, and by a pretty solid margin, hitting just above 400,000 players on Steam concurrently last week, then 462,000 a day following, and now peaking at nearly 482,000 on Steam alone this past weekend here. And this is kind of anomalous in today's day and age when it comes to gaming, and especially like live service stuff like this. I think the only game that I can recall that has had this sort of growing ebb and flow effect to it that didn't pop off at launch immediately but grew over time into something bigger was Helldivers 2. But honestly, both this and the Arc launch were very well received and very good, but are continuing to grow. When you follow games and you look at trending data, most of the time you'll see games uptick in interest, searches, viewership, intrigue, any sort of discernible metric tethered to the game at points of reveals or announcements, a trail off a little bit where there's nothing really to talk about, experience in game or anything, so that people kind of just go back to their regular, oh, we'll take a look at what else is new. Then it will pick back up leading to a launch, peaking around that launch point, and then slowly starting to taper off as time progresses and goes by. Now that decline is entirely subjective and dependent on what the product is. Some games will flop immediately, some games will have a very gradual decline, and in some cases even just kind of stay flatline, which is honestly for a live service game one of the best things you can hope for, that you don't lose anybody in that interest, but it's still incredibly hard to do. It's still certainly possible after horrendous launches initially that games could bounce back and become something that are phenomenal. See games like Cyberpunk or No Man's Sky, but most of the time you'll end up seeing that progressive drop-off. However, Arc Raiders has seen a steady growth in player count across the board here as time has progressed, doing the near inverse of what all market trends and data would usually dictate, and that's just crazy cool to see. This is likely due in part for a number of different factors. Things like organic marketing through creators, streamers, and just overall clip sharing across any sort of medium, showcasing the game first and foremost. Like, what you see is what you get. These cinematic moments can happen to anybody, and that's really cool. Somebody that sees this for the first time is like, oh, I want to try that out, and they jump in and they have that opportunity to do so. Embark now has a relatively short-listed track record, but a track record no less of no massive marketing campaigns to launch their games. The Finals was shadow dropped when it was launched, with no lead up other than a trailer at the Game Awards in 2023 that said play now, and Arc Raiders didn't start any sort of marketing or press until just a few weeks before the game released. Whereas you'll have other games marketing their game as coming for months, sometimes years on end. But I also think that this is likely due in part to a solid gameplay formula. Again, having those moments that are super cool that everyone can experience, having those hero moments of taking down the queen or the matriarch, or having these moments where you definitely feel like you shouldn't have survived, you got out with some incredible loot, making some really cool friendly engagements or betrayal moments in the PvP and other Raider engagements. But I also think it comes down to diving directly into the live service element of the game's post-launch support. Who knows how long it will be sustainable, but to hit the ground running with a great, very stable launch by comparison to hundreds, if not thousands of other games that come out today, with a ton of content up front with questing, crafting, gameplay experience-wise and things like that, and then just 2 weeks later to introduce a new map with a few more quests, a new enemy type, a general expansion of the gameplay formula, it certainly helps to keep that intrigue and interest up, capture them with even more while you have their attention. But honestly, I'm just happy. Like, this isn't meant as a glaze of the game or whatever. It's just, I think, genuinely cool to see, in my opinion, to see this stuff happen. And in a time and industry where so much of the perception around game launches are just people being mad or tearing it down or its community down, it's cool to have something that people seem to be genuinely enjoying on a almost universal level, sharing that communal enjoyment together. I'm just happy that we're seeing this anomaly of a fun, welcoming way to a genre that's predominantly predicated upon hardcore entries. One of the biggest things, though, that I think I'm most excited for and happy about is the fact that this didn't become another case study like Titanfall 2. Personally, I've always felt this was not meant to be a direct comparison to things like Battlefield or COD, or perhaps even Tarkov as a more comparable one, because all of those titles have had at least one release in the last 40-ish days or so. Like I've said myself from day one, I'm sure if the stream VODs get combed through, you'd find me saying it at least half a dozen times, if not more, on longer discussions of the game. But I've said from the beginning, I think this was a game that was meant to grow over time, that if it had a poor launch, I don't think that'd be the end of the world, pointing towards both the genre and the style of the game, as well as Embark's track record to upkeep for their games via the finals and their constant push for making a better game experience and game for their community. That through all of that, I really wasn't worried for the long term of the game. But more so, if there was a worry, it wouldn't get its flowers initially. Because releasing in between those kinds of behemoths, that's a lot of games that, economically speaking, I'm not sure that everyone will be buying every single one of those games. That starts to add up in price, absolutely. So just for thinking about it being launched between Battlefield, Call of Duty, and Tarkov 1.0, this is even before they mentioned the launch of RedSec in Season 1 for Battlefield 6, that was a big gamble. And then again, you throw in Battlefield 6 launching its Season 1 and then a full free-to-play RedSec experience literally 2 days before the game's launch. I was like, oh no. Maybe there is a chance that this could be something that people care more about that. But thankfully, it seems like it defied all odds, that the initial theory of probably won't be too much crossover between arcade FPS fans and extraction shooter, that panned out to be true. But I'm just happy it wasn't overwhelmed by everything going on. Like, that is super cool for a brand new IP, and despite having large money funding for a studio that is still relatively small scale like Embark. There's not multiple studios working on this game like you'd see in Call of Duty or Battlefield, that it's a huge quadruple A style budget and task force working on these games. I just think it's cool. But then we go a step further, and it seems like those flowers that, again, there may have been a worry that they wouldn't get up front, it seems like they are getting those, as even just today we saw new Game Award nominations for Arc Raiders. For those unaware, the Game Awards is an industry-wide event and celebration of games that happened in the prior year, hosted in December by Jeff Keighley. That happens every single year now for, I want to say it's like going on 7 or 8, maybe even more years at this point. I could be wrong, but honestly, it's an every year thing that happens now at this point that is a celebration of games. Okay, just checked in edit. It started in 2014. Wow, time has gone by fast. And Arc Raiders, even just now, within 3 weeks, has earned a nomination for Best Multiplayer Game. Now, it was not included in the Game of the Year conversation, and personally, I think that this is my own Game of the Year and has resonated with me the most, but having played and seen some of the other current contenders, I absolutely understand. Like, Expedition 33 resonated with everyone incredibly. It was a phenomenal gaming experience from everything that I've seen. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 was exceptional. Silksong was 7 years in the making from its original 2018 plan. Death Stranding is still on my gaming backlog. It's been a very busy few months. And then Hades 2 and Donkey Kong, I have admittedly no insight to comment on those, but like, I get that it wasn't included in that list. However, a nomination in the Best Multiplayer Game is still phenomenal. Again, up there with some incredible games as competition. Split Fiction, loved my time in that. Battlefield 6, obviously loved my time in that, otherwise we wouldn't have covered it here on the channel so extensively. Peak, Elden Ring, Night Rain. It's nice to see that amidst some phenomenal names that it's in there as well already. And next year, I would not be surprised if they're among the contenders for Best Community Support if all things keep going this way. Embark has been very good at keeping up, again, that support for the game long-term that they've had for the finals, and assumedly now coming again with Arc Raiders. I do personally think they were snubbed on Best Audio Design, as there's just so much atmospheric design to the audio, and there's absolutely some intricacies that most people would not pick up on unless you just love audio, like you're an audiophile like that. Like the pop and crack of gunfire, for example, is so subtle, yet some of the most accurate depictions of projectiles whizzing by. So I would have liked to see them nominated for Best Audio, but you know, you win some, you lose some. Best Multiplayer Game already is pretty sick to be included in. But that said, I want to spend some time today as a sort of just feel-good message. You know, it's nice to talk about the good things from time to time, especially in the world right now, but I'm excited to see where the game goes from here. we're probably off a few weeks here with the newer content and letting the ebbs and flows roll a little bit more because we just had that update. They're probably not going to drop something again this upcoming week or anything like that. But with now being a little bit more downtime perhaps and looking towards the future, we have the Cold Snap event enlisted and more currently in the works on the calendar, as we'll see things coming in the next few weeks with December. Snowfall as a map condition for the existing experiences, the Flickering Flames event and a new Raider deck along with more quests, and the Expedition Departure window to take part in that optional reset and wipe if you want to do that will be coming, and potentially more, whatever that may be. We do have a bright future ahead of us immediately in the next month or so here before the new year to close out 2025, but then beyond that, I'm very curious to see what comes of Arc Raiders, but I'm definitely going to be there every step of the way. So let me know your thoughts down below. I just want to talk a little about this because like this game consistently is just blowing me away. Like I'm loving this every time I jump on. Having to juggle 3 different games for content here on the channel is definitely awesome in terms of having stuff to always do, but I also feel like I just want to play Arc Raiders, man. So just wanted to talk with you guys about this. Been loving Arc Raiders. Hopefully you guys are as well. But for now, let me know your thoughts. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe for more Arc Raiders and other FPS content. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Mine's been Espresso. Take care and peace.